Ready?
Opening thoughts on Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, Coach?
Well, anytime you get Oklahoma and Oklahoma State to come to town the same weekend, it's a big weekend. The history and the success of those programs always is a super formidable opponent, and they've got a tough road trip. They get to hit the Panthers and the Cyclones, and we get to hit the Sooners and the Cowboys. So, going to be a lot of good wrestling in Iowa this weekend.
What has a guy like Marcus Coleman meant to this program?
Marcus probably, well, I know he's going to hold a special place just for this staff because, when I got hired, there was a recruiting class that was kind of on the ropes. Um, and I remember calling Marcus Coleman, probably trying to talk him into staying. Um, and he kind of just cut me right off and said, Coach, I'm not going nowhere. And being an Ames kid probably had something to do with that. I don't want to pat myself on the back and say that it was the dresser magic, but he was committed to staying here. He's got family here. I just think he grew up coming to a lot of Iowa State things, and so this was just a perfect fit for him. But the fun thing about Marcus is to see the progress, and I'm sure glad we got to see the sixth year. I mean, there's a lot of negatives about COVID, but one of the positive things about COVID is in this job you get kids that come in at 18 and then they leave roughly at 23, and probably Marcus is 24 now, but you get to see the growth in him, and just the growth he's had even in the last year has been really fun. Obviously last year was a huge year for him to get in the podium, so that's the long-winded appreciation of Marcus Coleman.
Well, to get a little bit more long-winded, can you talk more about his progress? Because he's a freshman, sophomore. He had some good wins, but then he'd have a bad weekend or two. And last year it seemed like he put it together, got an All-American. This year, I mean, obviously he pinned Aaron Brooks, and he seems to really be putting it together.
Yeah, I mean, he was a roller coaster. I mean, and you know what? He hit a real rough patch. When we got Younger into school, Marcus was at 97, and here Younger comes over right away, shows up. He was supposed to show up in August, and because of COVID, he didn't get it till November. And I mean, Younger's pounding him in the room the minute he gets here. And I didn't have a wrestle off intentionally, because if I would have had a wrestle off right away when they got there, I know what the results would have been. And Marcus was a little banged up that year at that particular time, and I said, let's just pump the brakes here, and let's just see what happens as we get closer to March. And there was a couple weeks there in January that I was almost thinking I was going to get that phone call that says, Coach, I'm done. Because I think in the back of his mind, he didn't quite know if he was going to be the guy. And I know he signed up to be the guy. But you know what? I always say sometimes you got to have to go through something really hard. And he had to go something really hard. And when he pushed through that, and then we did have a wrestle off, he won the wrestle off, went to the Big 12s, went on a pinning spree, and then got to the round of 12, or maybe the round of 16 at the NCAA tournament. And that was a huge motivator for him. When he got the round of 16, I remember him losing. I remember him coming off the mat, bawling his eyes out. And I love it when guys bawl their eyes out because it shows me that it's really important to him. And, he kind of made a decision at that time that he was going to finish this thing the right way. So I'm just excited to see what he can do for the last, 2 months here, or less than 2 months.
It seems like that relationship, Marcus and Younger, they've really helped each other.
Oh.
I know we talked plenty about Marcus last year and how Younger, the scraps in the room sound like they're kind of legendary, but at the same time, Marcus, I mean, he's a hammer on top, and I feel like that's helped Younger quite a bit.
They've complemented each other so much, and I'm sure at that particular time, Marcus didn't appreciate Younger at all. In fact, I don't know what's stronger than dislike, but disliked him quite a bit. Was threatened by him. But I know now if you were to ask Marcus, he's like, that was probably the best thing that ever happened to him, just in terms of making him step up, and then just a guy that gives him a really, really athletic look, because Marcus Coleman's athletic, but Younger is probably more athletic, which is saying a lot because you got two guys. So when they go, it is legendary in there. You get everybody out of the way, and shit's flying all over, and it's something to see.
How are you guys coming along from a health perspective, particularly Casey? And I know Sam seems like he's doing well.
Those two guys are good. Those two guys are really good right now. It seems like we always get some little ding here or there without going into details. So nothing serious. Obviously, Kabanban is probably the most serious in that we're not going to see him till mid-February. So we're going to go with Kanapik and Feasley back and forth a little bit for a while here. We got Perryman to use if we need to use him. He's got a couple more bullets in his holster or whatever it is, and So it's just been one of those years where we get a lot of dings, but right now there's no major dings, so that's good.
What did Casey figure out, if anything, by wrestling on Sunday? You got a few matches.
I think he just needed matches, so I think it was good. He felt real good about it, you know, and he's had the best 2 weeks of practice he's had all year. I think he's finally, you know, more coachable now, and the good guys are always the hardest guys to break some habits, but I think he really believes in all the stuff he's got to do out of the room right now to be good in the room. So I'm really excited to see. I mean, truthfully, with Casey, I just want to see him compete for them. I mean, our schedule is really challenging the next 20 days. I just want to see him how he competes at that high level because he's going to get a lot of good guys. To me, that'll give us a gauge, because if you look right now, he lost a close match to, you know, one of the best guys in the nation. I mean, Real Woods has went and put it on everybody since then. And if you look back, he didn't wrestle Real Woods that bad, and he still wasn't quite feeling great then. So I think there's a lot of upside for Casey right now.
Speak a little bit on the senior class as a whole. You got 5 guys recognizing on Friday. You know, your thoughts on those 5.
Yeah, it's a little early to be kind of having a senior night because we got a match on Sunday, but then we're going to do a wrestling gymnastics combination here on February 12th, so we're kind of bumping senior night up. But yeah, we got some special guys in there that have all stepped in and wrestled at one point or another. You know, you're going to get to talk to Sam and Marcus, and obviously we were super excited to get Sam for 2 years. You know, I think his upside's tremendous. But then those other guys that we're recognizing, you know, all of those guys have been in the lineup, you know, at some point, and you know, probably still, who knows, might be called on to help us this year. So just a good class that's been with us from day one.
Oklahoma State, I feel like, routinely been the class of the Big 12, and whenever we get to the Big 12 tournament, Oklahoma flips a switch and figures out how
Yeah.
to do a lot of good things. How important is it then, you know, not just to maybe win these duels this weekend, but really, you know, if you guys want to show that you're the top of the conference, I mean, you probably want to lay it on them thick, don't you?
Yeah, this is a good chance to make a statement. You know, they're going to come tough, and Oklahoma's got one of those teams that they just, you know, every one of their guys, if they're on, they're really good. And they haven't been able to get everybody on all year, but if you look up and down their lineup, like, they don't have a weak sister out of 10 of them. They're all capable of, you know, if they put it together for whatever reason. Some of them haven't been consistent, but if you get them all consistent, and, you know, they seem to do a really good job of that as the year goes further and further down the road. So they're going to be, you know, we can't overlook them one bit. And, you know, and we know, I think Oklahoma State's wrestling probably as good last week as they have been all year. So I think they're going to come to town, and John don't like to lose, so we're gonna have some battling. All right, thanks guys.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Coach. Appreciate it.